All right, we're back. Back. Sorry about that. Just had to, refresh the screen real quick, just so, we can get some people in here. What's going on here with this? There's no one in the chat right now. It's trying to, make sure that, that the, the connections are going right. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. For whatever reason, it's not hitting right now. So, I don't know. I may have to just restart the stream again and, and see what's up. But, okay, there we go. We got one person in here. Okay, two. Okay, good. All right, so now we're running back up. Because, yeah, I just didn't want to come in here and talk, when with nobody in here. But, yeah, okay, let's, there we go. There's another one. Come on, guys, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button right now. Let's get this thing cracking. Okay, so going back to what I was saying, Paddy Pimblett needs to fight and win for the sake of the UFC, because if he doesn't win, I don't know what to tell you, man. The UFC is in a whole different direction right now. The direction that the UFC is taking right now is sort of predicated in the idea of entertainment over competitive architecture. That is why Paddy Pimblett is the perfect champion. There you go. Now we got some more people in here. Come on, guys. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Don't be a hater like some of these trolls over here, who barely have even $5,000 to their bank account. You know what I mean? Like, this is one of the things that I realized, right? I realized that, the reason why a lot of you troll in here is because your lives suck. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what it comes down to. A lot of you don't have $5,000 in your bank account. A lot of you hate your jobs. A lot of you hate your life. And so you see somebody on YouTube that's trying to make it, trying to better themselves. You go and you knock that person down because you want to feel better about yourself. And that's really the entire reason why a lot of you are pathetic. Let's just be honest about it, right? The majority of people in the world are, unfortunately pathetic, especially in America, where a lot of you are normies. Let's just be real about this, right? Many of you have this normie attitude, right? I just want to get through the day. Yeah, that's just what I want to do. I want to get through the day. I don't want to do anything extravagant. I don't want to do anything. And I get all that, but at the same time, man, a lot of you live very mediocre lives where you never really tried to step out of your boundaries, never really try to step out of your circumference, and that's just, really what it comes down to. But anyways, yeah, look, we're going to do this rough, rugged, and raw and real, and just, keep it real for everybody up in here. So, so that's that. Yeah, man, it's UFC 324 fight week, man. Is everybody excited about that, man? I am so excited that the UFC is back again. But at the same time, let me tell you what I learned in the 6 weeks of not having UFC. And by the way, as somebody who is an MMA streamer, I think these are one of these things that I sort of notice, right? You see, if you're just a regular casual fan, you don't notice anything. You know what? UFC hasn't been on for 6 weeks, so guess what? Life goes on, right? You never even really think about it, right? You just, yeah. Think about this, right? I'm out here trying to pursue something in MMA streaming, right? So I have an understanding towards what the effect is of not having UFC for the last 6 weeks. And I'll tell you what that was. It made me realize that life is a lot bigger than the world of MMA, and everybody knows that. Of course, everybody outside of the world of MMA understand that. Let me tell you who doesn't understand that, though. Waffy says, regards. Okay, man, shout out to Waff, man. Shout out to you, my man. Regards. Yes, let me know what part of the world you are from, my man. So I'll tell you what I noticed about, the last couple of weeks, right? This is what I noticed. I noticed that, yes, the whole world doesn't really care about MMA, but for whatever reason, Donald Trump could potentially make it relevant because of the UFC White House fight card. which, by the way, Conor McGregor is not going to be on. Algeria. All right, man. Shout it to you. Shout it to you from Algeria. Hey, do me a favor. Hit the like button, will you please? All of you, please hit the like button. You got 10 people in here, and none of you are hitting the like button. That's sort of like stealing, right? Like, that's kind of haram for you to do that. Like, coming in here, not even hitting the like button, right? When I'm over here giving you guys a service when it comes to, you know, the world of MMA. There you go. We got 3 likes right there. Come on, we got to get some more likes. And also, please, the man from Algeria, Wafi, go hit the subscribe button for me, will ya? Go hit the subscribe button, and also go hit my join button. It's $1 a month with free access to all of my members-only content. Some real controversial content that I would not dare put out on the internet. So that's what you got right there. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the join button. $1 a month, okay? Because I'm going to give you the subject matters that nobody else in the world is going to talk about in the members only. By the way, I have about 6 or 7 members only videos that I made this week. I urge you guys to go check it out. It's under a paywall. You don't want to miss it. So look, going back to what I was saying, Donald Trump is going to make the UFC relevant again. And why is he going to do that? Because he's going to put it on a mainstream level at the White House. You see, what I was referring to earlier about the fact that there's a bigger world in the world of the UFC and the world of MMA out there, I was talking about the current events that are going on in the world that more people would be interested in. Obviously, on the domestic settings of things, Donald Trump did a state of address of the economy yesterday, or maybe at least 2 days ago, where he talked about how the USA is prospering right now in its current time, especially with gas or this and that. I mean, it's just all propaganda. By the end of the day, you don't know what is true or what isn't true behind what he's saying, or some of it could just be grandstanding or just performative and whatnot. But either way, understand that people care more about the outside world than sports, and that just doesn't go with MMA. That also goes with Premier League soccer. Even though Premier League soccer is probably bigger than the UFC, there are people out there that care more about what is going on in the world than that of sports, right? And these are the type of guys that I always hear complain about sports, right? And I sort of get it, right? Myron Gaines says that he thinks watching sports is G-A-Y. And man, those are some harsh comments coming from somebody that I guess was a rower in college, but nonetheless, it was an athletic endeavor that led him to a scholarship or some form of scholarship when he was going to Northwest University in Boston. So his idea of the sports being G-A-Y is because of the fact that you're watching other men accomplish their goals, and you're just, but at the same time, it's like, the fans are sort of needed in that equation as well, right? Because without the fans, the NFL ain't shit. Without the fans, the NBA ain't nothing. Without the fans, UFC ceases to exist. It's just a bunch of guys fighting, but by the end of the day, people are willing to watch a fight over a basketball game if a fight was to break out at a basketball court. You understand? Most people are going to look over and watch a fight that is happening on the basketball court while the other guys are playing basketball. And oftentimes, because one person complained about a harsh foul and, was not feeling the foul or whatever, so then he decided to take up issue on it and raise up arms against, X, Y, and Z, right? But either way, what I'm trying to make a point with is that people are willing to watch a fight over watching a basketball game or any type of game out there. That's what you guys need to understand, right? So in other words, fighting has always been a dominant sport when it comes to the viewers' eyes, okay? And I will say that Other sports are a metaphor to war. They are a metaphor to strategizing war. How do you strategize with a group of people? But combat sports is the purest one-on-one situation you can ever be in, right? It's man-to-man. It's not group-on-group. But rest assured, even though mainstream sports is not combat sports, it still has elements of combative strategy behind it. So I hope you guys understand and realize that. So, yeah, Paddy Pimblett, I think he's got a good chance of winning this weekend against Justin Gaethje. I'm going to tell you why. Justin Gaethje makes a lot of mistakes. Justin Gaethje has really only recently been working on his wrestling, and yet we're talking about a Division I wrestler. This is a Division I wrestler who doesn't use wrestling in his MMA career. Now, how crazy is that? Right? Like, think about how insane that is. But he fell in love with his striking. The reason why Justin Gaethje fell in love with his striking is because somewhere along the lines, that torque and that wrestling prowess, the power that you get from your hips, translated into his punching power. And so he fell in love with it. He's like, wrestling is too exhausting. I can go punch a man in the face and then just be over with it, right? So this is the reason why he adopted this fighting style. Because he felt like, you know what? This isn't really that hard to do in comparison to wrestling. By the way, this is the reason why MMA fighters often box later on in their post-MMA career. Tony Ferguson, Anderson Silva, now Andre Arlovski. Who else is in that mix? That's now a boxer. Jeremy Stevenson. You could add Mike Perry into that, but Mike Perry is more of a bare-knuckle boxing champion. Tyron Woodley, not really much of a boxer, although he tries to be, but not on that level. Not on that level, so yeah. The reason why I think Paddy Pimblett is going to win this weekend, because Justin Gaethje doesn't use his wrestling. I was going to say Paddy Pimblett doesn't use his wrestling. He's not really, but he's got good jiu-jitsu. And he can choke people out. Look, I think he's going to take the back off of Justin Gaethje and then choke him out that way. That's what I think will happen. I can honestly see it happening exactly like that. Yeah, man, I encourage some of you guys in the chat to engage, right? Some of the viewers in here to engage. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also hit the comment section. Let me know what part of the world you are from. And let's discuss UFC 324 this weekend. So, okay, Kayla Harrison out with an injury, right, against Amanda Nunes. Here's what I think about it. I think that Amanda Nunes and Kayla Harrison are going to fight at the White House. It's a perfect fight. Think about this. Legendary Brazilian fighter versus American gold medalist judoka in the White House. And that is awesome, man. That is an awesome fight, or at least an awesome fight to add on to the White House card. Look, Conor McGregor is not going to fight at the White House. What he's doing right now is grandstanding. I'll tell you that the fact we think or perceive Conor McGregor to have a fight at the White House is helping his brand and whatever business he's tied into. You see, right now, Conor McGregor's name is relevant in the world of MMA due to the fact that we're talking about him potentially fighting at the White House. Come May, which is 1 month away from June, where this White House fight is going to take place, we're going to hear Conor McGregor say, as you know what, I couldn't get in the fight because, there's a lot going on right now, yeah? There's a lot going on right now, yeah? A lot of these things going on right now. So I won't be able to fight. But International Fight Week, you better believe I'm going to be there. The notorious Conor McGregor. That's what's going to happen. I promise you, that is how this is going to go. I can foresee it going down that way. And the reason why I foresee it going down that way is because Conor McGregor is just not a fighter anymore. He's just not a fighter anymore. His mouth and his brain don't match with what his body could do. In other words, Conor McGregor is always going to be Conor McGregor. All right? There's nobody that could take that away from him. He will always be the notorious one. Now, the problem with Conor McGregor is that he is no longer that guy physically. Somewhere along the lines, he's lost his way. Somewhere along the lines, Conor McGregor stopped training as hard or didn't feel the need to train as hard as he used to. So all of a sudden, he becomes a shell of himself. But in regards to that, he's always had this high, vibrant personality that everybody can relate to, or not relate to. That's not the word I'm looking for. Somebody that people can look at and say, you know what? That guy has courage. That guy has confidence. I want to be that guy. I want to emulate him. And he's also very entertaining, right? So the entertainment factor that Conor McGregor brings in, it doesn't match the 2015 prime Conor McGregor. It doesn't match it. But he has to live up to this character. So that's the reality of Conor McGregor and why he's not going to fight at the White House. There's going to be different excuses. Also, he's on juice, right? So therefore, for whatever reason, he's not able to pass USADA. And here's another thing. While also not being able to pass USADA, Conor McGregor is also using recreational drugs on the side, which makes it very difficult. Yeah, so think about that. Recreational drugs mixing with juice. Yeah, man, it's not a good look for Conor McGregor. It really isn't. Yeah, Conor McGregor is not going to, it's not going to happen, man. He's not going to fight. He's just using all of this to try and get you to be excited about something. That's really what it comes down to. He's just trying to get you guys excited and also build his brand along with it. Because think about it. When he's attached to a future fight, which we don't even know, whether it's with Masvidal or whether it's with Michael Chandler or no one at all, King Louis says Trump should have invaded Iceland instead. Well, why is that? What would have been the difference between Greenland and Iceland for him to take over, right? Maybe Greenland has certain resources that's useful for the United States more than, let's say, Iceland. Maybe Iceland is not a factor into why he is not invading Iceland rather than invading Greenland. Because obviously Trump, here's another thing about Trump, right? He doesn't do anything with a wasted move or a wasted decision. He's very methodical. It's also, I scratch your back, you scratch mine type of exchange. So what he's doing with the UFC White House card, he's using it as a way to say thank you. Thank you to those that are loyal fans of his or loyal supporters. King Louis says Greenland is full of icy land. Iceland is less cold. Yes. Iceland is actually more green than Greenland, and Greenland is actually more like ice. It's one of those confusing type of situations where they mixed and match the location, sort of like when they call the Caribbean the West Indies, because Christopher Columbus thought that he was going to India, but you go there, there's really no Indians other than Trinidadi people who have Indian background on them. Skip Woosman says Leif Erikson is tricking Trump. Okay. Good afternoon. How are you doing? Good morning to you, rather, right? It is actually morning time here in California right now. In fact, a very foggy morning. Let me show you the foggy morning we got right now. He says from way back. Okay, Leif Erikson tricking Trump. Remind me who Leif Erikson is again. Just remind me who that is. Write on the comment section below who that is, just so we can give full context as to who this person is. I gotta tell you, the fact that the United States is invading Greenland, it reminds me of a Call of Duty story mode. That's really what it reminds me of. He says traffic doesn't appear too bad. Yeah, because nobody wants to go drive out right now. And, you know, traffic does get really bad in Sacramento, Fresno, LA, San Francisco, all throughout California. It gets really bad. But right now it's rather good. You know, it's rather good right now. He was a Viking or some Irish guy. Ah, okay. Okay, so that's who Leif Erikson is. Okay, Erikson. Yeah, that sounds like a very Viking name. You know, like Eriksson or even Anderson or Anderson, the way that they pronounce it, right? There's like an Anderson, right? Anderson, like how you pronounce it with a American twang. You know what I mean? Like Americans, here's the thing about American accents, right? For those British guys out there, if you want to do an American accent, you got to open your mouth wide when you talk. That is an American accent. But if you're British, right, you got to speak with a stiff upper lip. Yeah? So meaning that a lot of your language expression is done with the bottom of your mouth. Yeah? So in other words, if you want to do a British accent, right, you have to stiffer up your upper lip. And this is the reason why they call it stiff upper lip. You understand? So that's, yeah, that's sort of the key ingredient behind it. So you guys want to talk politics, huh? Instead of the UFC, I don't blame you, right? Still an exciting UFC card, though. But at the same time, you know, this channel is not shy to talk about politics. All right, how about this, right? For political sake. Should ICE be abolished? Let's get a survey going right now. Should ICE be... actually, I can't do a survey while I'm driving and live streaming. But, yeah. Let me know, guys. Let me know. Let me know if ICE should be abolished. Really as simple as that. Let's really get into a discussion about this, right? Because a lot of people right now are really upset at ICE. They are really upset at ICE, okay? Very much upset at ICE for multitudes of reasons. Oh, what do we got over here? We have a little biker gang over here. You guys want to see a biker gang? Hold up. Let's see a little formation they got going on here. He said that he accused immigrants of eating dogs and cats. ICE should be reformed heavily. I feel that Trump has the majority of the citizens scared over nothing. So here's the thing, right? I don't think that it's so much about the crime that they are worried about with immigrants or illegals, right? It's not about the crime. It's not about the gangs, because I would argue that we have harder gangs in the United States than, let's say, Trende Aragua or all these other, you know, factions. By the way, what a weird gang, right? Like, how do you have a gang like Trende Aragua and you ain't got no rappers in your section, right? That's kind of, you know, a weird gang. But the reason why they have ICE is because they are auditing the United States right now. And that audit sort of deals with an aspect of, you know, trying to make sure that, you know what, that the United States is not overspending. It's not overspending its resources. So getting rid of these immigrants or illegal immigrants is just a form of trying to audit what the United States currently doesn't have, which is a lot of money, right? So not the way that we used to in the 90s or early 2000s or this and that. This is a completely, I mean, I think in the early 2000s is when all of that started. He is saying that the Somalis are fraudsters, and he threatened to neutralize them, naturalize them. Okay, what you mean is that he was threatening to take away citizenship even if they were naturalized citizens. That's an interesting take. Yeah, that's a very interesting take right there. That's a very interesting take. Because can you really do that? Is that even constitutional? And Donald Trump even said himself, the only thing that's going to stop me is what I think is moral or immoral. So in other words, he's going to act upon his own judgment, whether correct or transgressional. Yeah, threatened to naturalize him. Yeah, I know what you meant. I know what you meant. Yeah. I know exactly what you meant. Yeah, that's wild that he thinks that he could do that. And the thing is that I don't know if you're allowed to do that, man. Yeah, I don't know if you're allowed to do that. It doesn't seem like a plausible reality for you to do. King Louis S., what do I like about Trump? So that's a very good question. I like Trump on the basis of being a good promoter to the UFC. That is it. That is absolutely it. As a politician, I think that he's mediocre. I'm not going to say that he's the worst ever, but he's not the best ever. Like, I believe there's other people that would be a lot more qualified than him to deal with this job. But him being a president, I think, is a little too much for a person that has his type of personality. Look, I don't think there's ever going to be a perfect president, right? When you're a president, people are either just going to hate what you do or love what you do. And then there's propaganda behind it to where the other side or your oppositions or people that oppose your policy are going to make you look bad. And then there's going to be a lot of people that are going to believe it. And then you're going to have also supporters on the side that are okay with what you're doing. So, yeah, man. Not a fan of him totally as a politician, but yes, absolutely a fan of Trump as a TV personality and also as a promoter of the UFC. Oh wow, okay, we got now available with sugar-free caramel. Wow, so caramel protein latte. I think I'm gonna try that. I'm at Starbucks right now. Trump has stated that owning Greenland is critical for his Golden Dome plan to expand U.S. missile defense systems. Its location is strategic, vital for monitoring ballistic missiles. Yes. So that part right there.
Hi there. Thank you for choosing Starbucks. What can I get started for you?
Hi. Can I get that hot caramel protein drink?
Yeah, do you want the sugar-free one or the regular?
What kind of sugar do you use?
I'm not sure. It's already like a pre-sweet syrup.
Okay, yeah, just the non-sugar. Or actually, can you add brown sugar to it?
Yeah, that one will be like the raw sugar packet.
Yeah. The brown sugar. Yeah. And
do you want me to do sugar-free caramel with the brown sugar packet?
Yes.
Okay, and what size is this?
Grande.
Okay. Grande hot caramel latte, sugar-free caramel with brown sugar packet. Anything else?
That's all, ma'am.
Okay, it's gonna be $6.05 at the window.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so the reason for him doing it makes sense, but the approach is like someone else told him to say it. Told him to say it. So that's the thing, right? Nobody tells Trump what to say. And in fact, out of all U.S. presidents, I am convinced that Donald Trump does not read the teleprompter. I honestly think that he freestyles all of his speeches. Let me know if you guys agree on that assessment. Does Donald Trump freestyle his speeches? I honestly think he does. I think the brother goes out there and just, lets it rip. He's like, the hell with the teleprompter. I'm going to go off the top of my head. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to fire the teleprompter guy. The teleprompter guy is fired. Yeah, definitely doesn't rehearse. No, he doesn't, man. Donald Trump doesn't rehearse. Bro, listen. This is the best way to describe it, right? If Donald Trump was a rapper, he would be a freestyler, okay? He would be a mixtape artist, okay? Because let me tell you what I know about the rap world, all right? There's real artists, okay, like Eminem, like Kendrick Lamar. Those guys are like real artists, right? Hi, how are you?
It'll ask you a question that you
Sure.
can tap answer. Thank you.
Yeah, so he's a freestyler, right? He's not like a conventional artist, right? Kendrick Lamar, Eminem, Dr. Dre, especially Dr. Dre, right, who is a staunch perfectionist, right, does everything rehearsed. He rehearses and does it over again, rehearses and does things over again. This is what he does, right? But when it comes to Donald Trump, man, the guy is a freestyler. He's more like Papoose. Thank you. Have a good one. He says, yeah, but Trump himself didn't do a good job at explaining when he announced why he wanted Greenland. So you know what? This is why President Obama was a much better speaker than Donald Trump. There's hands down. Barry Obama was a much better speaker. I don't care if you don't like his policies. I don't care if you think that his wife has a dick. I don't care if, which by the way is an insane, conspiracy theory to begin with. But anyways, yeah, it doesn't matter any of that. It doesn't matter what you think of Barry. Barry was a much more prolific speaker than Trump ever will be. What a guy! What a guy! What a guy! Barry! I want his birth certificate investigated. And you know what? What's crazy is that the reason why Donald Trump is in office is because of good old Barry. You know what? President Obama, whether you love him or you hate him, you know what he did? He changed the game of politics. He was the most well-groomed politician ever, right? He looks the part. He, is tall, thin, has a very deep voice, very commanding voice, very educated voice, and has a degree in Harvard. All right? He is, man, listen, I think Obama's presidency is going to be very highly underrated. The only reason why it's highly underrated is because a lot of you right-wing MAGA boys, are just like, dude, he's gay! He's gay! Oh, man. He says, Trump DS clown. I don't understand what you mean by that. TDS clown. I don't understand what you mean by that. You gotta explain further what you mean by that, my man. Yeah, so this is what I'm saying, right? Trump is not a very good communicator. He's not a very good communicator. Okay, I'll give you an example of this, right? Let's say somebody owes money. I'm going to show you an example of how Trump does it versus how, let's say, a well-groomed politician would do it. Here's an example, right? Trump, he says, give me the money now or we're going to blow your head off. We're not going to have any mercy against you. You need to give it up now. You think you're a tough guy? Well, you're not going to be tough no more after that. All right, that's the best Trump impression I can do, okay? He says, pay attention to the effing road. What the hell is wrong? Yeah, that one prick online. Well, how about this? Why don't you go prick yourself off elsewhere? How about this? Put the timer on 24-hour timeout. By the way, listen. I'm not even driving. Do you realize, like, I'm on a green screen, you idiot? Like, this is an AI green screen. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about, you effing snitch. You filthy snitch. By the way, Communisk or whatever it is your name is, I'm just going to remove your message because I don't even know what you mean by that. I don't even know what context you're talking out of. But on any regard, yeah, you're out of here. Bye. Bye-bye. Up on out of here, bitch. Anyways, yeah, man, Trump is not a very good communicator, right? Oh, yeah, give me your money now versus this. Hey, listen, I think it's better that you give me your money right now because you owe me that money. And if you don't give me that money, then there's going to be dire consequences that could potentially come your way. Now, you have a choice. You see, there's Exhibit 1 with Trump, and then there's Exhibit 2 that I just did right now. That's the difference. That's the difference. Trump is telling the world, Greenland, give it up now or we're going to end you. It's as simple as that. That's how Trump is going at it with this. So, it is what it is. All right, in the meantime, we're going to continue on our conversation, but just wanted to kind of show you guys a bit of some tour of where we're at. King Louis says, none of these problems would exist if voters were required to pass a history test about the president. Issues like these aren't new. Facts, my boy. Yes, that is definitely true. These issues are not new, right? When you look back at history, especially if you study the times of the Civil War, even dating back with George Washington, having issues with the Federalist. Okay, there have always been conflicts within U.S. politics, right? It's inevitable. That's what it really comes down to, right? The inevitability of the reality that comes with, with internal conflict in U.S. Issues. They're definitely not new. You're absolutely right about that. They are definitely not new issues at all. We're going to pass by the bridge right now. The Golden Bridge of Sacramento. Points for that guy. Oh, looks like we got some protesters here, right? You guys want me to shoot this right here? Let's see what's going on here. All right, so what that seemed to be was, I believe, an anti-ice. Yeah, it's an anti-ice pro. That's what I think what was going on right now. So, yeah. But yeah, you're absolutely right, man. A lot of these issues have already happened in the past before, and yeah, unfortunately, a lot of people, you know, seem to not really understand that. So, yeah. By the way, King Louie, what part of the world are you from, by the way? Let me know what part of the world you are from. It's a very interesting name, King Louie. It's actually named after a weed branch, or I'm sorry, like a weed strand of some sort. But yeah. Let me show you guys some more of Sacramento right here, right on 5th Street of Sacramento. South Europe. Okay, that's awesome. No Name, my man. No Name is from Southern Europe, he says. Southern Europe. Okay, that's interesting, man. I'm assuming Italy, either Italy, Bosnia, Greece, right? The Mediterranean region. Am I right about that? Let me know. King Louis says, I've returned. All right, man. Yeah, King Louis, what part of the world are you from, my man? From America. Okay, what state in America are you from? This section of Sacramento right here, this is more like the Chinese community of Sacramento right here. Michigan. Okay, Michigan, that's right. Okay. Beautiful state of Michigan. Ooh, shit. This is down. He said, haha, the Cybertruck let you pass. You saw that? Yeah, I was expecting it to morph into a transformer. Yeah, man, I've been hearing a lot of recalls on those cars for whatever reason, right? You know, just overheating or just, I don't know, man, you know, and I'll tell you this, right? I can tell you a Cybertruck is not bulletproof. I know for a fact a Cybertruck is not bulletproof. And here is the wonderful public transportation train of Sacramento. Ride at your own risk. Stop disrespecting God of the universe. How exactly am I doing that? Vic Law, whatever your name is. Yeah, shouldn't this be up already, or is there another one passing? No, look. Man, there's all types of graffiti art here in Sacramento. El-Kheer says egg. I don't what there's no context behind that comment. He just says egg. What egg what? Egg what exactly? Yeah, just wanted to give you guys a little bit of some tour of my city, a city that I really take a lot of pride in, right? Because man, I love Sacramento. Sacramento is like a smaller version of LA. You know what I mean? A smaller version of LA that has less traffic and less of a headache. So it goes like that. This place right here has been around since 1920s. Wow. Okay. Very interesting here. All right, so in the next 5 minutes or so, we're going to shoot a segment regarding why McGregor's not going to fight at the White House, but also why Paddy Pimblett is very important for the UFC to win. So we're going to get, the proper background going for this one right here. There we go. So we'll just have a little bit of a proper background right here, just to kind of get this thing going right here. Okay, so that's what we'll do. We'll have a little bit of a background here, and this and that, and yeah. Okay. All right, just had to pull out the hoodie off for this one. So yeah, in 3 minutes or so, we're going to get it cracking with the pre-recorded version that I'm going to upload later on, and you guys are getting an exclusive from it. So So there we go, right there. All right, in less than 2 minutes, we're gonna get the recording going in less than 2 minutes or so. All right. Less than 1 minute. We'll get it cracking. $60. Less than 60 seconds. $30 seconds. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. There's a great chance that Conor McGregor is not going to fight at the White House. In fact, I'm willing to say that he's not going to for multitudes of reasons. Number one, the man has been on juice due to the fact that he had some serious injuries to which he really had to take anabolic steroids in order for him to get his leg back in order. If you guys remember from the Dustin Poirier fight, which, by the way, I mean, it looked so horrible the way that his leg bent back, right? It just looked really bad. On top of that, you got to understand, Conor McGregor also takes a lot of recreational drugs. So as a result of that, passing a drug test, there's only so much the drug testing agency that the UFC has employed can do. There's only so much cover-up that they can do. So these are the two top reasons why he's not going to fight at the White House. Another reason you need to understand is that Conor McGregor is in a situation of his life right now where he is just way too comfortable. Now, I want to be very clear. This video is not definitive, even though the title or the thumbnail may have a little bit of some clickbaity type of attraction to it. I need you to understand there is still a chance that he can fight, because by the end of the day, he is highly motivated for a historical event like this, and who wouldn't be? When you're a fighter, this is literally some of the things that you dream of. Most guys that grew up, let's say, in England, boxing, or anywhere else in the world outside of the United States, their biggest dream is basically to fight in Las Vegas or Madison Square Garden, or nowadays with the rise of Carl Froch and Anthony Joshua and the trend that they started, $80,000 in Wembley Stadium, right? Those are the top three places in the world that you'd want to fight at, and not to mention the Middle East as well, with the money that they're putting up for combat sports. So this is the pinnacle of everything that you work for, the Super Bowl, the WrestleMania. Yes, he's going to be highly motivated. The problem is, what kind of Conor McGregor are you going to expect when you see him in there? You want to know what I think? This is the type of Conor McGregor I think you're going to expect. A guy who is a shell of himself, and not only that, was literally forcing himself to be there in a situation that he, quite frankly, doesn't deserve or is not capable of doing so. But by the end of the day, you got to understand something, which brings me to the next segment of the UFC, right? It's no longer a meritocracy. It is no longer a meritocracy. The reason why is because they need to have entertainment. They need to have big names. Conor McGregor being put back in there is just nothing more than a cash cow for the UFC to bring him back and to say, hey, look, we got a product right here that you guys can look at and say, hey, check this out. Here's our little puppet right here being strung along, sort of like Joe Biden, right? At the end of Joe Biden's political career, he was a shell of himself. They literally just brought him back because he was an established name in Washington, D.C., and they're like, you know what, we need to have this guy around, until they just could no longer do anything to him anymore, until they can no longer cover up. And this is literally Conor McGregor in a nutshell. He is the Joe Biden of the UFC. You understand? Conor McGregor is the Joe Biden of the UFC, and that is insane to say, but it is so true. Which is why I'm telling you that UFC is no longer a meritocracy. So the fact that the UFC is no longer a meritocracy, I need you to understand this. Their whole entire motivation is always going to be money. It's always going to be big fights, big names, and to hell with undefeated records and winning fights through wrestling. Forget all that. What they want is pure entertainment violence. That is something that Conor McGregor can bring because he still has the name, but we don't know if he has the violence in him. Paddy Pimblett, they want this guy to win. They need this guy to win. You want to know why they want this guy to win and they need this guy to win? Because he is the next cash cow of the UFC once Conor McGregor is no longer available and is completely expired from the game in terms of his ability to perform at the highest level. So they need Paddy Pimblett. They need a person like this to replace Conor McGregor, who, by the way, has a little bit of a Conor McGregor personality in him a little bit. He's Irish, at least has an Irish name, but he's not from Ireland. He lives in Liverpool, which is historically an Irish town full of Irish immigrants, migrated from Dublin all the way to Liverpool. And even Conor McGregor himself will tell you that his family has ties to that place. And on top of that, has even had ties to, let's say, having a little bit of some scandals in that part of the world, if you remember. But on any regard, what we have going on here is panic mode for the UFC. And what exactly is that panic mode consisted of? Firing people that are undefeated, that are not exciting, promoting people that need to be promoted because, well, okay, let's take, for example, Joe Pfeiffer, right? He's number 15 and he's taken on Israel Adesanya at number 6. Does anybody ever ask the question as to why this is going on? I think the answer is simple. They need American stars in the UFC, and Joe Pfeiffer is that person that can fill that void, right? He can fill that void if he beats Israel Adesanya. Because I'll tell you right now, one of the biggest things that people are complaining about in the UFC offices right now is that there isn't much American stars. And here's the thing, believe it or not, the UFC can survive without American stars, because they don't need them. What they need is just people that are willing to put asses in seats, whether that's American, whether that's Dagestani, whether that's English, whether that's French, whether that's German. Anybody that can put asses in seats, they need them. That is why the UFC is no longer a meritocracy. Mark Haney says, why is everyone so mad at the UFC wanting American stars at the White House event? Because a lot of people don't understand that American stars are sort of dwindling down in the UFC, right? And so they still think that being an American gives you a certain type of privilege in the UFC. In fact, it doesn't. Think about this, right? The pay in the UFC is not good enough for you to have a quality of life in the United States, especially at an entry level, where you got guys making 10 to show, 10 to win, or sometimes even 20 to show and 20 to... It's not enough. It's not enough for these guys because that money goes away rather quickly. These guys, a lot of the Dagestanis, even the Brazilians, they have a low cost of living in the part of the world that they're from. And then on top of that, if you are with a team like Charles Oliveira or Khabib, rest assured you're going to have a team behind you where they're going to provide you with a dorm. They're going to provide you with some living accommodations. And then on top of that, maybe even some nutrition, food, and every type of resources that you need as a fighter. Mark Haney says, to be fair, it's all privilege. It's not a right for any fighter to fight in the UFC. It is a privilege. That's a very good assessment right there. He says, Rams or Seahawks? Sorry, no, I don't follow much football, but let me know what team you wish to win. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Mark Haney. You know what? Here's another thing that a lot of people complain about, right? They complain about fighter pay. And you know what? What you said right there, Mark Haney, that is correct, right? To be fair, It's all a privilege. It's not a right for any fighter to fight in the UFC. It is a privilege. He says that wouldn't be a privilege. I wouldn't be mad if a Russian UFC wanted Russians at their event. That wouldn't be privilege then. Yeah. Well, the reason why they're trying to have stars, or why they're trying to bring in Americans to have a White House fight card is because they want to use that to catapult the next generation of American stars. Let's think about this, right? John Jones is gone. Dominic Cruz is gone. TJ Dillashaw. Who else? John Jones, that's the main American star, right? Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey. These are all American stars in the UFC. They are all gone. They need new ones. Gable Stevenson could come to mind. Who else? Peyton Talbot, you could argue, is in there. Sean O'Malley, you could say, has been a star for a long time, but at what extent is a superstar? Is he more of an internet celebrity rather than, let's say, a mainstream celebrity that you could, I don't know, parade around in the Golden Globe Awards the way that you did with Brian Ortega and Mackenzie Dern? But here's what I will say, right? The White House matchmaking that they got going on is sort of weird. It's sort of in this weird dilemma where, you know what? We want to have Americans versus the world. But then Daniel Cormier argued, what if the Americans get their asses kicked at the White House event? That would look really bad on our country, right? But at the same time, this is what I think, right? If you had a White House card where it was Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria, or maybe even Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia Topuria, which, by the way, are all non-Americans, I would argue and say, well, this is the UFC's gift to the world. Because by the end of the day, no matter how much international superstars the UFC has, the UFC is still an American sport, or at least an American heavily promoted sport. And as such, it is our gift to the world. That is how they should really approach the White House fight card. Mark Haney says, I just don't see a big deal wanting Americans for an American event at an American White House. I agree, which is why I say the UFC should be America's gift to the world. That's the theme. Who's saying it's a big deal? Victory says. Well, there are people out there. There's a vast number of people out there that are saying they would want to see an America versus the world type of card, or have feature more Americans. But I argue that if you had a Paddy Pimblett or an Ilia Topuria card, by the way, two non-Americans, all we're really saying is that, which is true, the UFC is America's gift to the world, no matter who's fighting in it. Yes, and then Mark Haney says that everybody's trying to make it a political issue. Facts. Facts on facts on facts with that. Yes, people are making it a political issue. You are absolutely right about that. But by the end of the day, I need you to understand this also. The reason why people are making it into a political issue is because of the fact that it is a political issue, because Donald Trump created an event that said, this is my gift to you guys for rehabilitating my image. If you remember, Donald Trump was facing court cases and litigations put against him. Who put him back into the fold? It was us, the UFC audience, that tolerated him, that normalized him, and also, quite frankly, when it comes to the American MMA fan side of things, put him in office. Yes, the people voted and spoke. Yes. So there you go, guys. Just wanted to, sort of get that into says ADD is kicking in. That's called democracy. Whose ADD is kicking in, and in what context do you mean, Marty? Let me know on the comments section below. His ADD is kicking in. Whose ADD is kicking in? Do I have ADD? Maybe. You know what? I would not be surprised if I do. I mean, look, I was diagnosed with ADD when I was a kid. Look, it's no, yeah, I don't think that's a secret at all. He says, I have ADD, LOL. Yeah, dude, I think, you know what it is, bro? I think people who came from that life, the majority of us, I think have that, right? Because if you think about it, like, why else would we be, real troublesome individuals? Right? Because we're always constantly bored. We're constantly looking for action, right? So as a result of that, we get ourselves into things. He says ADD gang. That's right, man. That's right, ADD gang. How you even throw that up? How do you throw it? A, right? A, like what we do with the Asian boys. A, and then D. ADD gang. I think that's how you throw it up, right? ADD gang. You know what I mean? But yeah, throw the A up, throw the D, and throw some double D's in there. You could throw the E or touch some double D's, whatever, you know what I mean? But yeah. ADD gang. Oh man. Yeah, bro, every gangbanger has ADD, bro. That is I mean, you know what? Not everyone. Because, obviously there are some that are like, real calm homies, right? Guys that are, there's variations of different people, right? There's guys that are calm, there's guys that are not, just like fighters, right? There's fighters that are very loud and abrasive, and then there are some that are just, really quiet and stick to themselves, T.H. Tom. Yeah, like 4 Extra, for example, right? From Roland 60 Crip. That dude, he definitely has ADD. In fact, he's got ADHD. Like, this dude, before he blew up his arm during that 4th of July fireworks accident, man, the dude, I think, was just turned up 24/7. Like, 24/7, he was like, on the dead homies, cuz, this and that, like, and he's really like that, bro. Some people put up an act to be like that, right? Like, he really is naturally like that. But yeah, that's a classic example of somebody that has ADD. Brick Baby, shout out to Brick Baby, free him, right? He's got ADD for sure, but he's a little bit on the calmer side of things. But yeah, he definitely got ADD. To be a rapper, you gotta have ADD for sure. Eminem got ADD. For this dude to have the type of lyrical skills that he has, for him to put the words that he does together, right? It takes ADD to do all that. Victory says, that's why I like MMA. There's so many different aspects to learn that it keeps me interested. Yes, so many different aspects to learn. So on the technical side of things, right? But also when you look at the media side of MMA, there's also a lot of diversity and different nuances that goes on with that as well, right? Like, for example, let's take the Khabib and the Khamzat situation, right? Many people sort of down Khabib and Khamzat for hanging out with Ramzan Kadyrov, right? Especially liberal media guys like Luke Thomas. Okay, that guy right there, I mean, he has it out for Khabib and Khamzat because of Ramzan Kadyrov, but the nuances of that, what if these guys just want to hang out with Ramzan Kadyrov so that their family doesn't get killed in Chechnya or Dagestan? You know what I mean? Like, does anybody even think about that? Or are people just in their, moral high ground of things to just, easily condemn Khabib and Khamzat for absolutely anything? But that's what it is, right? The political nuances in the world of MMA. Now, here's another thing, right? Political nuances of MMA. Is Donald Trump using the UFC to sports wash his image? Well, I tell you what, I would argue there's a lot of people out there that use combat sports for sports washing. in particular my own people, if you know what I mean. And when I mean my own people, I don't mean here in California. Those guys, they definitely use sports as a way to wash all of their sins from the world, or at least wash your sins away from what the world has noticed about them. He says, even if he did, what's the crime? Just so you know, I didn't vote for Trump. Okay. Yeah, no, I know where you stand on that, Mark. You know, like, I'm sort of in the same boat as you with Trump. Okay, I'm in the same boat as you with Trump, okay? There are some things that he does good, and then there are some things that are like, you know what, man, I'm really not with this whole, you know, separating families away because of, you know, ICE immigration deportation policies, right? I'm with you on that. And then also, I happen to think that Trump is great for MMA. I think that it's great for him to promote our sport. Like, I think we need a guy like Donald Trump to put us in the mainstream, right? Because he himself knows what it's like to be shunned away from the mainstream. So he can absolutely relate to the attitude of MMA people. And you're right, there is no crime with doing that. There is no crime with hanging out with your president, whether it's Ramzan Kadyrov or whether it's Vladimir Putin. Yeah, that's what it really comes down to. You know what I mean? It's not a crime to be a citizen and to hang out with your president, even though your president has committed all sorts of crimes. He says, I'm also not against getting illegals either out or legal, LOL. You know what, Mark? Donald Trump mentioned yesterday in his State of the Union address, right? He said that ICE has a lot of Latinos in their ranks. And that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me at all. If you guys know anything about, you know, Latinos, I mean, it's obviously a hyper masculine culture. Not to say that no other cultures are masculine, but there is a higher emphasis with that, with Hispanics. For example, you know, most Hispanics that I know, right? You know, their dads would beat the living heck out of them and throw all political correctness aside. You know what I mean? Whereas with other groups of people, yeah, do they beat their children or discipline their children in a very harsh manner? Yes, they do. But at the same time, they can also fall pressure into, let's say, social norms or political shaming of some sort. Okay, this is about illegal and illegal immigrants. This is not about Latinos. Yes, I agree. I agree. Which is why, you know, Donald Trump really had to emphasize that. Like, you know, look, we have a lot of ICE agents that are Latinos in our ranks. You know, he was very adamant in that, right? He was very adamant in letting people know that. Because, you know what? Latinos are not the only people they get up out of here, right? I know people in the Filipino community that they put up out of here. You know what I mean? And you know what? Dude, listen. This is I could get in trouble for saying this. I'm gonna just say it right now, right? A lot of Filipinos that come here illegally, you know what they do? They end up getting exploited by their family members who are nurses who own nursing homes. You understand? So it's like, if Trump is getting you up out of here, maybe he's getting you up out of a situation that is going to lead you to destitution. Mike says, Trump ICE. Says, what president didn't have ICE rounding up illegal immigrants? Yeah, you're right about that. At the same time, though, Trump is just a lot more, vocal about it. GT says, what president did it? Mark Haney says, my dad's wife is an illegal immigrant from Germany. Wow, okay, so illegal immigrant from Germany, okay. This last 2 years has lit a fire under both their asses to get her legal, which is now what happened. Okay. So it's not about Latinos. Yeah, you're right. Because if you're German, they'll get you up out of here too. You know what I mean? They'll get you up out of here too. And that's the thing. The reason why this is going on is because the country is broke financially. And they need to get people up out of here, and the reason why they do it. Now look, I'm not telling you that I agree with it or disagree with it. I'm just telling you that that's the reason why they do it. Yes, my point is it's not about Latinos. No, it's not. But for whatever reason, people seem to stereotype that that's the reason, right? Like, for example, even the ICE agents, right? They go after people that look Latino because they think that, okay, there's a high plausibility that this person could be illegal. But here's the thing, man. A lot of Latinos are American, bro. Think about how American Latinos are. Anybody who's ever been in the military, I guarantee you've met a Latino, right? Or at least in the U.S. military. Obviously not the British military because they're all basically white. You know what I mean? Like, if you've ever met any British forces while you were serving in the U.S. military, man, you know, the whole entire British force is white, you know, with like one black guy in there. Sean Boy says, hello, bro, how are you? The country is broke. Define broke. Okay, what I mean by define by broke is, that's a very good question, GT, okay? This is what I define broke as. I need you to imagine this. You as an American, can you take a vacation right now? I need you to answer that question, right? And if you can, well, then maybe you're, you know, one of the elite few that can do that right now, or you have, you know, your life together. But the reality is a lot of Americans don't have their life together. Okay, not a race issue, it's a legal issue. Correct, yes. No, people try to destroy the argument by first misrepresenting the issue. That's called the straw man argumentation. This is not about Latinos, it's about illegal immigrants. Yes. Sean says Brazil is full of, wow, man. Is it really? Like, you know, I don't think Brazilians are really going to take a liking, you know, to that, right? I mean, you know, Brazilians, you know, are some of the toughest fighters in the world. In fact, they've been a staple in combat sports for a very long time. So I don't know about that. Although, man, listen, there are some, that Morales guy, he's not Brazilian though, but it was kind of zesty of him to be up in a dress like that, you know, just dancing around like that. And then, I don't know, man, you know, it's kind of weird. He says, yeah, they're very creepy, bro. Who's very creepy? Let me know who you are referring to, Sean Boy. He says, I think Sean is right. Just look at the guard positioning. Haha. I got Joe's calm down. You're probably, yo, I remember Chael Sonnen once said, he's like, man, listen, I don't pull guard. I'm a Republican. In other words, he's trying to say that he's not gay, that they don't really espouse any gay beliefs or anything like that. GX says, do a lot of people here not have their life together or have fallen for the programming signed for $800 car payments to look cool? Huh, okay. Are you talking to me, GT? Like talking about $800 car payments? I assure you my car is fully paid for, and yeah, I definitely don't have any 800, but I know what you mean, because I worked in the car business before, and I've signed people to those deals before, so I know exactly what you're talking about. It says, I don't pull a guard, I'm a Republican. Yeah. Yeah, I remember he said that. This was about Anderson Silva, when he fought Anderson Silva. Weirdly enough, Anderson Silva was on his guard and submitted him after Chael Sonnen was ground and pounding him for 5 rounds. But yeah, a little MMA classic right there. Mark Haney says, I make over $200K a year, and my Honda 2003 Pilot has 250 miles on it, and I don't care. LOL. Well, there you go, man. Listen, I think that you live a very frugal life for somebody that, you know, makes the type of money that you do, and that's a beautiful thing, man. You know, and Hondas last for a long time anyway, you know what I mean? So yeah, man, you You're definitely on, on the ball on that. And look, what's the point of having? Look, man, when I was a kid, right, I had all types of cars, right? I had an Infiniti Q45. I had a BMW M series, by the way, with a top down and all of that, right? And then I realized, man, this car is way too much maintenance. It's really like putting a hole in your pocket, and then you decide, you know what, I'm just gonna go buy a car that I can go pay off really quickly, and then after paying it off rather quickly, I can just not worry about car payments, and then maybe worry about a few maintenance here and there, but not as expensive as, He says, lucky guy, I'm a poor boy. He says, fuck fake bailing. PGE gang, LOL. PGE gang. He says, they won't do it on camera, but they do it holding the cell. I know what goes on. Yeah. You know what it is, Sean? I think it's just a matter of being at the right place at the right time, right? Look, a lot of guys that I know that do really well in life, that make six figures, that have, a good income, that have it all going on, I noticed something about their personalities, right? And this is something that I noticed about myself that I had to really erase from my personality, right? They have this self-made complex. And look, don't get me wrong, a lot of the accomplishments that most men get are through their own will and perseverance. I understand that, right? But at the same time, there's also a disregard for the assistance of God, right? And that's where a lot of the humility comes from, right? That's where real humility comes from, is understanding that God is the one that put you in that position. God is the one that put you in a position where you have certain homies that have network in other places that can get you to the places that you need to be. God is the reason why you met that person that helped you get through school. God is the reason why you get a speeding ticket because of whatever intervention was going on, and now you don't have to pay that extra $200. Okay, GT says, my point is that America isn't broke. They are financially illiterate and full of ego. Yeah, you know what? You're right about that, but even with the financial illiteracy of Americans, that's kind of the contributing factor why we're broke. Because many people live off of credit, and then many people use interest to charge others, and then on top of that, it affects people in a very negative way. Okay, except Mark, apparently. Yeah. Mark Haney says, I was homeless for 7 years ago. I just know how things go from 0 to 100 miles, 0 to 100 real quick, and I know I can be back there quick. It happened before. Okay, it happened to me before. Okay. Yeah, that's a very good point that Mark made right there, right? You have to be humble, because you don't know when the blessings that you have going on could go away. All right, that's really the best way to put it. You don't know if your blessings can easily go away. It could be here today and gone tomorrow. Yeah, man, you're absolutely right about that, Mark. You know what, man? Listen. As somebody who does pretty well for myself as well, who has a great life, right? Great opportunities in life. I honestly concur with that, right? I think about that every day. I'm like, man, on any given day now, I could, easily be knocked down to my lowest common denominator. And I think about that in a very humble manner. So, yeah, look, I get it that I banter here, especially with trolls, right? Every time there's a bunch of trolls in here, guess what my go-to weapon is? My go-to shot is this. You ain't got $5,000 in your bank account. Boom. Argument over. You got nothing to talk about. You're over here talking about, you know, my beard. You're over here talking about, you know, this, that, and the other. You're over here talking about, you know, because I sound white or, you know, or whatever. You don't got $5,000 in your bank account. Boom. Argument over. You know, even if I don't have Marty Miller, you know, ban you from the chat, you're going to stop and think for a second before you hit that keyboard. He's like, wow, you know what? You're right, man. I don't got none of that going on. But even with that, bro, like, I say that because, you know, it's a defensive mechanism. But in reality, you know, many of us who are at the top or doing great in life, we should all be very scared because at any given time, your empire could crumble. And that is the most humble thing that you could ever, you know, understand. But you know what? I look at it like this, right? You call them broke, copying Andrew Tate. You know what? Andrew Tate calls them brokies, right? Calling someone broke is literally a common thing in the world of rap, in the world of hip-hop, right? Oh, yeah, that's a broke-ass ninja. That ninja broke. You know, F these broke ninjas, man. You know, this and that. You know what's funny? I find it funny when rappers call their oppositions broke, yet they got people in their ranks, okay, virtually people from their hood who are broke. But yet those are the guys that will literally ride for them, that would literally get into a shootout with them, that would literally get into street fights with them. Yet they're calling their opposition for their life mishaps, literally experiencing the same thing that their own homies is experiencing. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean, right? That's why you got to be humble, because you know what? The next person I call broke, you know, I might just be saying that about my homie as well. None of these guys ever think about that. And then they wonder why. And then these rap dudes wonder why, you know, people in their ranks betray them. Oh, you know, he talking about, oh, broke nigga this, broke nigga that, but you know what I mean? But I got something for this nigga, you know what I mean? Next thing you know, that dude that you thought was your homie because you're calling your opposition broke, you know, now he's triggered by all of that. Now he's coming after you, being homies who are going through the same situation. Victor, who that is, that's his go-to also, broke-ass welfare government cheese mother effers. Yeah, Myron does that as well, right? He does that. And Myron, man, he is so mean towards black people, especially towards black Americans. Not so much with Africans, Jamaicans, or other black people, but when it comes to black Americans, boy, he's really harsh with it when it comes to his assessment on, you know, on black Americans. And dude, I don't know, man. There are some things that he says that are true, but then there are some things that are just kind of over the top a little bit. Nico is an albino black dude. I gotta check him out, man. Thanks for letting me know about Nico. I gotta check him out on that one. So what does he do? Does he just stream? Is there any particular niche that he's in, or just, you know, regular overall streaming? Let me know on the comment section below. But yeah, man, interesting stuff nonetheless, you know? Yeah, you know what? I like live streams more than I like making videos, to be honest with you, man. You know, but you know what? I think the majority of my videos now are just going to be from members-only videos that I do. By the way, please come join the members-only section. I have some real exclusive content there. For this whole entire week, I concentrated on building my members-only content. I urge you guys to take a look at my members-only content. It is nothing short of amazing and controversial. Victory says, Nico Nell Media. He streams about rap industry and does freestyles a lot. Okay, Nico Mel. All right, I will definitely check that out, man. Also, guys, check out Point and Shoot. One of my new allies in the hip to. By the way, we're gonna live stream Adam's fight this weekend. What do you guys think? We're gonna it's on the Friday. It's on the Friday of UFC 324. So it's not gonna interfere with UFC, because if they were gonna fight on the same day as the UFC, forget about it. You know what? I'll just watch the highlights of that later. But yeah, man, Adam 22 is fighting this weekend. UFC 324 this weekend. We got